What's up, y'all? It's your boy, the one and only A Switch, aka why his nipples so soft, aka the Cheesecake Crusader, aka Mr. Tough Nipples. I don't know. I contradict myself, but I did. AKA all these sirens. Cause something going on right now. I don't know. Are you done? Are you done? Are you done? Damn. Thank you. Thank you. AKA, I mean, there's probably some people that was dead. You know, I'm sorry. I'm just saying, of course they have to die while I'm recording. But well damn. It threw me off. AKA the undisputed, undefeated, uncontested social distancing champion. AKA the Komaki Tiger Dropper. AKA the nigga lip master. Bringing you yet another episode for the first time in 2022. Episode 135 of Switches Sites. Today's date is January 6, 2022. I didn't fuck it up. The temptation to say 2021 was very immense, I have to say. Yeah, man. Happy New Year, everybody. Hope everybody had a wonderful holiday break and or, well, I guess both really. Holiday break and New Year. Yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed your respective holidays accordingly. Got what you wanted. You know, got your little got your little Rose vibrators. I don't know what's the you know, I don't know what the main attraction is anymore. Hope everybody got they PS5s and Xbox Series X's and graphics cards, RTX or AMD, Nvidia or AMD. Hopefully you got everything you wanted. What else? Well, the world is not getting any better. As I say all that, and welcome to a new year. Things are not getting better. Man. Omarion is on full tilt. He dancing immensely. And infecting everybody with his dance. It's horrible at an all-time high now. So hopefully everybody be safe out there. But yeah. For those that don't know, Switches Sites Podcast is a solo video game podcast where your boy A Switch just talks about that. I'm sorry, what the hell is what's the trend / stigma? Who should pay on a date first? It's always black people talking about that for some reason. Hating on black women, that, you know, black people being self-discriminatory, I guess. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it where it's at. So, yeah. So, without further ado, I have a lot of catching up to do. Oh, wait a minute. I wish I had my damn it. That would have been a perfect opportunity for the Matterhorn, whatever you call it. You know what? We gonna do it though. We gonna do it very ghetto. We we're gonna try the ghetto approach. Actually, this I've already committed to it. I have to fully commit. What is it called? Horn. Horn sound effect. Let's run it back. Fuck. Got a lot of catching up to do. So, fuck. What was it? Without further ado, we got some catching up to do. Yeah. Yeah. Improvisation. There we go. You know, hey. Let's stop the dilly dallying and get right into it. First topic of discussion. It's good to be back. It's good to be back, you know. First topic of discussion. The website trueachievements.com spilled the beans. Just straight up spilled them. So basically the site, which generally tracks new additions to achievements, and with that they generally get like new achievements for new games soon to release. I believe they like directly are tied to the Xbox database, or they search some like kernel or something that like will tell you new data. I'm assuming and guessing they must be referring to some specific location to get the deets on new achievements. So with that said, what do you know, one in particular game just showing itself, straight revealing itself. I'm seeing I'm seeing every areola. I mean, it's everything. But I'm sorry for that analogy, but with that, we of course are talking about GoldenEye 007. So basically all the achievements for GoldenEye 007 have been leaked on the True Achievements website. So pretty much this is basically a confirmation that we're getting GoldenEye 007 pretty soon, since they normally reveal these achievements shortly before the game is either released or announced. So at least in this case, it seems like it's gonna be pretty soon. If I would since at least the cat's out of the bag for sure now that at least every news has caught on about it, that I think it's pretty imminent that we'll get a release for GoldenEye 007. Yes. I think there was like a leaked game, a leaked pre-build of this game technically, that I think you can like play with like, you know, some ingenuity and emulator. And said emulator, I think I might have downloaded it, you know, magically, through a friend, because I own the game, of course. So, yeah. So it looks like I would guess maybe that after this, that was like maybe like, I'm pretty sure it was in 2021 or 2020, but I think, yeah, it did that. I think that caught on, and then a lot of people were doing media coverage on it. And then I think it probably like, you know, got back on the radar for Xbox. They're like, you know, man, we should probably go fully with it now, if I would guess. So pretty dope. I mean, personally, I am a bigger fan of Perfect Dark. That was definitely my it pretty much improved on everything that GoldenEye started. So I do definitely have a fondness towards Perfect Dark more than GoldenEye, but I do have, slight nostalgia, and part as well. I want to explore and actually fully play the game. Being more competent now than I was when I was like what, maybe 10 or 12 when this actually came out. So, yeah, pretty dope. I'm curious if everything is fully intact. Because of course Xbox owns Rare, which was the company that developed this game in the first place. But I know the licensing for 007 game specifically has been kind of iffy. I thought last time the game was owned by Activision, the rights for this game. So maybe possibly Xbox, did some magic, did some sweet talking or whatever, and got something underway. I would guess, because I mean, this game was like in in like straight perpetuity for a long ass time. Because at least going by that build, it seemed to indicate that the game was at least heavily, close to being released, maybe sometime earlier, obviously in the 360 era, which was the build for the game. So, I mean, I'm excited for it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm excited for it. I'm definitely gonna give it a try when it drops. I am also curious if, considering Nintendo Switch with their newly Nintendo 64 addition to their Nintendo Switch Online, that is fucking complicated, program. Oh man. So I'm curious if maybe, knowing that Xbox and Nintendo are buddy as of late, in terms of sharing some games that's been exclusive on their platform and things like that, that if they possibly may work a deal with Nintendo to also get this game, get maybe, I'm assuming, the original N64 game on that platform, for Nintendo Switch Online users to utilize as well. So I don't think that's too far fetched, considering their relationship. And obviously we got Banjo and Kazooie in Smash, which felt like the impossible that was made possible. So I could definitely see that happening. Maybe they probably drop this game first, and then maybe a couple months after it drops on Nintendo Switch Online, within the Nintendo 64 component. I could definitely see that. So all in all, I know I'm happy for a lot of fans that, it's so many people that grew up on N64, and this was obviously that cult, not even cult, that this is a widely popular, highly popular game for N64 fans. So good vibes, good start to 2022 for sure. I'm looking forward to it. Oh, let's see. I totally messed up my codes. Let me correct that. Let me correct that. Can't do anything without proper codes. Set me up for failure. All right. Moving on. What's also popping off this week is CES. For those that don't know, CES is generally a like technology based showcase. It's probably the best way to describe it, where they show a lot of like prototypes and concepts for like cutting edge technology, like TVs. What I forgot, it was something, I think at last year's CES there was like a flat screen TV that was just a straight up sheet, but a fully functional TV nonetheless. stuff like that, like very highly conceptual, like products that like generally are like 5 to 10 years ahead of like when they actually will like go into production to like consumers. But there are, of course, some things that are pretty much being showcased that will shortly come out after. But at least my general understanding of these products showcased are generally very highly conceptual stuff that we won't see for a long time. But then again, maybe that's just as somebody who sees these events from the outside looking in, where I would assume maybe they are showcasing these new products as to overshadow a lot of the newer not necessarily cutting edge, newer stuff that is coming pretty soon. So I think it's probably likely a mix of both, if I would guess. So I guess I'm purely speaking from at least past knowledge and conjecture. So take that for what you will, but at least that's the general gist for CS. With that said, apparently they are still doing it amongst the pandemic, the panty, along with Omarion dancing around everywhere. Shouts out to Omarion. I know he made a TikTok saying like, "Hey, I'm not a virus. All right, stop. Y'all need to stop disrespecting my name because y'all fucking ignorant and y'all keep butchering my name. Y'all need to stop. I ain't gonna stop though, Omarion. I'm sorry." So yeah, so at least I from what I've been seeing, a lot of tech YouTubers and stuff, they don't seem to be attending CES, which is pretty logical, wise choice. But I believe probably people that are fairly local to CES, which I believe is always generally located in Las Vegas, for the most part. So yeah. But it seems like they're kind of sanctioning stuff off and I think showcasing stuff for people. But the biggest thing from CES, Sony had a press conference. And of course, we finally got more details on the PlayStation VR2, which is, been the highly rumored. I mean, it's kind of, I guess, rumored / given that it was coming, because I think PlayStation did confirm there's going to be a continuation of PlayStation VR, but they were very vague about it in terms of details and stuff. But at least we got details regarding it. We still don't know what the headset looks like yet, but they did reveal some details in terms of it's going to be OLED, I think 4K HDR. So at least from the resolution standpoint, 2000 by 2040 per eye, 90 hertz, 90 to 120 hertz. I'm presumably dependent on the game. I think one detail they didn't necessarily confirm, that at least was my big personal question, that would, at least for me personally, is kind of make or break depending on how they handle it, is backwards compatibility with PlayStation VR1 games. Like, at least the one I would definitely want to play, if it's not available in any other form, is Resident Evil 7 VR, which is, as far as I know, still exclusive to PlayStation VR. So that's probably my biggest one that I'm curious how they're gonna handle it, if it is even gonna be handled. Because I guess as a workaround, you can technically connect the PlayStation VR to your PS5 with an adapter that you have to get after like showing proof of a purchase or whatever. But it seems to be very convoluted, and I think you have to use the PlayStation VR box, which also restricts your bandwidth to, play in HDMI 2.1. So to not get too to not get too technical, it just is very inconvenient to go that route. So personally, I was definitely looking to jump into PlayStation VR if that is the case. But I mean, I guess we'll have to see when we get more details. But yeah. Motion sensor, utilizing the 6-axis motion system that we all know and love on the PlayStation controller itself. 3-axis gyroscope, 3-axis accelerometer. At least that's what the 6-axis itself consists of. IR proximity sensor, so it will not require a camera like the original PSVR. So that is definitely a better option. So if you want to be dumb, I mean, not necessarily dumb, your setup could be different from everybody's, where, the only way you can play properly or adequately, you have to turn around behind, like instead of face the TV directly, you just do a 180 and play that way. Hey, your prayers have been answered. That one random person that's the only way they can play. Looking out for the very random specific people. 4 cameras for the headset, controller tracking, IR camera for eye tracking per eye. So it seems to be kind of similar to the Oculus Quest, where they have a lot of cameras to compensate for the at least more archaic mounting of cameras within a room, which is definitely very cumbersome in a lot of ways. So definitely good vibration on the headset. I think that's one of the other notable features for the PSVR2 is that I think they described like people coming across your head, or like I would assume bullets or objects coming across your head. They would be able to convey that within the headset via vibration. So that definitely has the potential to be cool and probably freak you, further immerse you, and in turn further freak you the fuck out. So, hey, I'm all for it. Using USB Type-C, which at least is definitely good in terms of not having to do that whole convoluted setup that you would do with the original PSVR, where you had to get this like box that like I was talking about earlier, technically would restrict your bandwidth. If you got the older one, they revised it to where you can it is HDMI 2.0 compatible, which is basically a higher bandwidth to do HDR and all that stuff. Without getting too technical about it. But at least now you just have one convenient cable that you just plug in the front of the PS5 and then just be up and going, at least in theory. So that's definitely way more convenient, at least based off of that information that we got. Then they showed the Sense controllers, which, at least looking at it, they do look a bit more cumbersome and I guess clunky. But then again, it's like that's seems to generally be what a lot of the VR controllers are like, where it has like, the handles and the 2 rods. But then on top of that, there's like it's like a sphere design, like you're putting your hand in spheres. It at least the design from this angle looks like from their like promotional material. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of unavoidable, but I mean, if it works really well, I'm probably not going to complain about it. And I think it looks way bigger than it probably is as well. So I guess we'll have to see when when it does happen. Um, does have a rechargeable battery, at least for the controller, so that's good. I would hope they would at least there for sure is probably gonna be like some third party docking stations for them. If not PlayStation's original or PlayStation's first party chargers for them or something like that, I would guess. But looking, it's interesting, at least from what they showed. They did show a game, Horizon Call of the Mountain. I guess this was supposedly a rumor game that is at least now finally confirmed. That you won't play Aloy, who's the main character from the Horizon games, but you'll play this new character, and they did confirm that you'll at least see Aloy to some extent within the game, and presumably some of the other characters that you would see in the original Horizon games. So yeah, that's Resident Evil 7 VR is kind of a make or break for me. I would assume they're going to show some more games closer to when this releases, but at least from what we have been shown already so far, I mean, I'm not sold on it yet. I definitely want to see what the headset looks like. Probably collect some reviews from people that have used the headset, which, presumably will be before it officially releases. It's supposed to be releasing this year towards the holiday season, which makes a lot of sense. But potentially could be pushed back due to, supply delays that have run rampant literally everywhere. So I'm interested. Yeah, the backwards compatibility is going to be make or break, because considering a lot of the PSVR games, at least for people jumping in, there are going to be a lot of people that jump in with this and have skipped the first PSVR, like myself. And at least considering if there aren't going to be a lot of new games that are, natively supported by this at release, it is not really a very enticing proposition. So we'll see. I mean, hypothetically, if they drop PSVR2, they announce that, hey, Resident Evil 7 VR is now officially ported to, ported/upgraded to PSVR2, and, Resident Evil 8 is now having official native support in a mode, like if you already purchased Resident Evil 8 for the PS5, that you'll be able to, have that access if you have a PSVR 2. If those two conditions are met, then I will probably bite. If there isn't any support for like PC yet, like if they didn't release Resident Evil 7 VR support for PC, as well as PSVR 2. So we'll see. It is cool at least that this will definitely be another step forward to like fully solidifying VR as like a legit avenue for games. Obviously that's been established with the Oculus Quest 2, which would be cool too, but I mean, I doubt PlayStation would ever do that. Xbox more than likely would do it more than PlayStation in terms of like partnering with Oculus Quest and like, having VR support if you connect a Quest to a Xbox Series X, hypothetically speaking. So I could see that more. That would make a lot more sense. So who knows? All in all, I'm interested. Moving on. So, with CS going in continuation of it, and by continuation I mean keeping that CES train going. Chee chee. Nvidia had their keynote slash showcase event where they announced the Nvidia GeForce RTX 3050. So, yet another card that you can't get, and probably is going to be even harder to get since it's technically cheaper. It is 250 MSRP. So, in I'm trying to calculate an eBay scalper scalping prices would probably be what, $800 or something like that. I don't know. It's all bad, man. Apparently, no Founders Edition, so at least these will be solely with third-party card manufacturers. 250 cores, 1.5 to 1.78 gigahertz, 8 gigabytes GDDR6, 128-bit bus, 130 watts. So, and with that announcement, they also did announce the RTX 3090 Ti, which is 10% faster than the original RTX 3090. So, yet another card in the fray that you can't get already. You gotta love it. So, at least my opinion, of course, is I do wish they, focused on the cards they already released that people 2 years later still can't get their hands on. Yeah, this is just gonna further confuse and muddy up everything, and then again also make things harder for people who at least were originally trying to get whatever other set of card. Now, make that harder. So it is kind of sucks, but I mean, hey, more opportunity to get. I think at this point, probably everybody's probably whatever I can get, I'll just take. That's probably at least the mentality I would have going into this. So yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible. Stop these scalpers, man. They need to put that bill in place. Somebody need to act more. Act more on that bill to get it passed and fully in effect sooner rather than later. So interesting. And let's move on. And pretty unfortunate, sad news. John Madden passed away. Of course, the NFL legend, who's very synonymous with the game series, Madden NFL, has passed away at 85. It's sad. But I don't know. It's crazy. I've always, at least somebody who's not really played too many of the Madden games, I've played it here and there, like back, especially when I was, in my football phase, I guess. Definitely always got a kick out of the Madden games when I did play them. At least hopefully, they'll stick with the Madden name. I think they're probably going to try everything possible to stick with the Madden name now that it's so established, specifically for the football sports game. But man, R.I.P. Madden, man. Also R.I.P. Betty White. Totally forgot that happened. Betty White, died at 99. I think 2 weeks before her 100th birthday. It's kind of messed up. That's kind of petty. Why you do that? Why you do that? I don't know who I'm complaining to, but why'd you do that? You didn't need to. I digress. Always loved his commentary though. Like, yeah. It was something on Twitter I saw the other day where he was talking about water cooler, just stupid stuff. Like, you got the I'm doing a horrible job, but you got the big daddy water cooler. You got the mommy water cooler, and then you got the little baby water cooler right there. Bam. Was that? No, that's Emerald Lagasse. John Madden always he had actually a lot of phrases. Now that I think about it, I think wham. That's one of them. I know. I think John Madden did it first, but Emerald Lagasse solidified it, if I would guess. So, either way, R.I.P. to John Madden, man. Thank you for all you've done for football. It's greatly appreciated. Head coach, Hall of Fame coach for the Oakland Raiders. R.I.P., man. I don't know why that bothered me, but it did. But so definitely had to bring attention to it. So, and on that note, that will conclude the news for this week. I guess technically past 2 weeks, even though technically nothing notable worth talking about, I feel, happened. So, with all that being addressed, let's get into what I've been playing. Man, played a lot during this holiday break for sure. Hope a lot of other people did as well. First off, straight up Halo. It's probably the game I've technically been playing the most over this break. Man, so still struggling in Diamond. Struggling in Diamond. That's pretty much all I've been doing as of late. So I know I talked about this before. At least the current rank I'm at is Diamond 5. So I'm pretty close to the top, or what's considered the top rank is Onyx. So basically I'm at Diamond 5, then there's Diamond 6. Then after I do all of Diamond 6, then I get to Onyx, which is definitely proven to be pretty tough. I think they've definitely made it more, the conditions to rank up more strict at what feels like 4 and up. It seems like with each rank you get to, the tougher it gets to rank up, I feel. But then again, at least from other stories I've heard, it seems to be some very unknown parameters that 343 has not been very transparent about in terms of like the conditions to get the highest rank in something. I think it's, from what I researched and, like a couple of YouTube videos of like pros and stuff I was watching, it seems to be definitely performance focused. But the factor of wins do take some part in it. It's like it's definitely more mainly focused on your performance, whether you win or lose. But generally, if you're losing, your performance more than likely is bad. there are some cases like I would assume Slayer and stuff where you can be playing your ass off, which I definitely have in a couple of cases. And like, your team is losing because they're not getting kills, but you're going straight up positive as hell. In those scenarios, you're fine generally from what I've seen. But then there's sometimes where it's like I was legit positive, like at least specifically in KD, as well as playing the objective, which that's a whole nother factor that I think is technically being problematic, at least specifically in matchmaking, not to mention the other games. But in matchmaking, I've seen what it feels like in some scenarios if you're playing a match and let's say hypothetically somebody on your team drops out, disconnects, whatever. I've seen sometimes that like players will immediately go into like lost mode and just try to just play Slayer throughout the whole match, and when it's like capture the flag or oddball, and again, not playing the objective, where they are basically not even helping, and in turn helping with us solidifying losing said match. So it's been a fair amount of scenarios like that where because what they're aware of in terms of the ranking system is that, hey, you can lose as long as you go positive, which in some cases can be kind of detrimental to people that are trying to rank up, where whatever happens and you're kind of screwed because now everybody on the team technically is giving up, so you have no choice, and in some cases can even fuck you over too, because they're just not playing cooperatively but playing for themselves, or selfishly. So that's been kind of annoying. But then again, it's like there's been games where I played pretty damn good, especially considering the rank, but then I'd only get like a smidge of just a smidge of XP, rank XP. So, and there's times like I was playing also legitimately pretty good that I would rank down because my kill death ratio wasn't positive, but I was like I captured like 3 flags in a match, or held held the oddball the longest or whatever, playing the objective. So it definitely needs some work, at least specifically to not make it heavily based on your personal performance. But even with that said, not even factoring in like game mode objective parameters, like how many flags have you caught, how many flags have you defended, returned, stealed, whatever. So I'm ranting because I'm a little bothered by it. This is probably the first notable game that I've legitimately like played ranked and was pretty I don't want to say serious, but technically serious about it. So I do take some offense to the measures that have been done so far. So yeah, so that's been fun. Just literally going playing a good match, getting ranked down to rank tier 4, then playing like 5 matches to even get enough XP to go to 5. So that's been great. I think another factor too, which is probably factoring in, is the matchmaking system in terms of being matched with people that are higher than your rank or lower than your rank, because I think it's kind of like the traditional ranking equation that, if you're higher than this person in rank and they beat you, then you lose a lot more than if you beat them, because you are technically higher than them and are anticipated in terms of odds likely to beat said person or team or whatever, because you're of a higher rank than them. So that can kind of get annoying in some cases, but at least specifically for that is fine. I'd even be okay with that as long as they factored in team play in terms of the objective in these games, and giving you credit where credit's due. Like, maybe I wasn't positive in this match, but I did play the objective. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I may be a little bitter, be a little salty, because I'm trying to play the game how it technically should be played, but don't feel like I'm adequately getting rewarded for it like I should. But I digress. There was the winter event that happened as well that I did get all the goodies for. Basically, it was kind of convoluted with the conditions on how to earn the or rank up in the event tier or event pass, which is separate from the battle pass. That basically you have to play a game a day in the quick play playlist, and then you instantly rank up, which it feels like that could have been more explicitly explained in, like, the what's new today ticker within Halo or whatever. So but yeah, now the Fracture Tenrai event is back. Played a little bit, at least specifically. Well, no, I did play the Fiesta playlist. That's the playlist that's tied with the Tenrai event, and at least with this one, I think they're trying to make up for kind of the oops they kind of did with the event the first week, with a lot of the rewards kind of being a little too sparse. It feels like, but yeah, it's cool. I'm still playing it perpetually now, because I'm really dead set on trying to get Onyx. That's my goal. As long as I get Onyx, I'm like, you know what? All right, I'm done. I'm gonna leave while I'm at the top. But then I think there's a whole other meta. There's a whole meta game on top of that as well. So that's fun. All in all, I'm still playing Halo. What, months after? Well, like, I guess a full month, coming on a full month since its initial release. I guess specifically the campaign, but I mean since Thanksgiving. Even I think a week before Thanksgiving, technically November 15th. So Halo good. Halo good. That is my my sentiment so far. It is good and a bad, good and bad. Yeah, there we go. It's funny. It kind of reminds me of my previous relationship with the Destiny games, which is kind of funny considering, people that did work on Halo Bungie did go on to make their own new game IP, which was Destiny. So a very much love-hate relationship. Not a little bit of hate, specifically the ranking system, but love is definitely the 80% love, 20% hate. So yeah. Also, felt like I wanted to go back, get that urge to nostalgically reminisce, which I did. So went back to the PS2 days, fired up my CRT, played a little bit of that. I gotta do it. Raw Danger. When you think about it, it kind of sounds like a porno. It really does. Not a man. I just had an epiphany. hey, you want to play some of that Raw Danger? Yeah, that does sound very nasty. When you it's danger, but it's raw. Danger, but it's raw. Yeah, I'm sorry. I made that way more dirtier. For those that don't know, Raw Danger is technically the second game in the Disaster Report series. So it's technically Disaster Report 2, but I think for marketing at the time, back in I think 2004 it came out. I looked it up, but technically it is Disaster Report 4, but to make it more appealing in the West, I guess they were taking the angle of making it another new name, since they felt like Disaster Report 2 would not stick as well in the US. I'm assuming probably going from the sales of the first game, Disaster Report, in the US. Kind of like very niche, but Rival Turf and Brawl Brothers, they're actually the same, a continuation of the series, which is Rushing Beat. So there's Rushing Beat Syria, and Rushing Beat San, I think. That's the naming in Japan, but in the West it was Rival Turf, Brawl Brothers, and the Peacekeepers or whatever. So, yeah. But I guess the funny thing is, I don't even think they called it Disaster Report 3. I did some research, but there's Disaster Report 3 that is PSP exclusives, but I think it's technically exclusive to Japan. So if you were to play it in the West, you hopefully know Japanese. I think people are working on a English patch for the PSP game, but I think that's still long ways away for being complete. And then for the PS4, they did release, I think within a couple years ago, I think 2019, they released Disaster Report 4. So they went back. So the Disaster Report, and then Disaster Report 4. Like, what happened to the, So unless you're like a fucking nerd like me, you wouldn't, probably don't even know what this game is anyway, to be brutally honest, but I digress. But yeah, Disaster Report, for those that don't know, I know I talked about it a while back when I did play it, last year, technically. Basically it's like, at least for me, I think it's like Resident Evil if the zombies were the world disasters, basically. So Resident Evil with world disasters is probably the closest semi-accurate way to describe this game. So there is like a lot of survival elements, like staying warm and a hunger meter, I believe, and things like that. But then there's like world disasters like flooding. I think the game starts in a ship that is sinking or something like that, and then I presume the objective, at least part of the game at least, is to escape. But as the the ship is sinking, or something like that. So I'm interested. One annoying thing that is going to be very irritating, that is one of those, like, man, if I wish a game had a patch, but is that this game is like, doesn't give you an option to not invert but uninvert your camera. So basically, if you want the camera to look right, you, at least for me, would think to just move the analog stick right to look right, but no, it's the opposite. You want to turn it left to look right. And, you know, I checked the options, did some research. It seems like there apparently is no way to uninvert the camera. So kind of a annoying handicap to deal with, kind of similar to what's the game? Extermination, where the X axis up and down is inverted permanently and you can't change it. So you literally have to play, unless you like inverted controls, you are fucked. Which that is such a pet peeve. It is very rare. I mean, I guess technically of the PS2 games I've seen, it's only been those two, but it's annoying as fuck. So that's not making me want to play it as much. So not so much now, but I'll probably push through it. Please don't. At least I guess that's kind of the good side of having games that do need to be updated, or that are periodically updated over time, that, you know, oversights like this can be mitigated. And who knows, maybe there might be a patch, or some patched ROM ISO that might have fixed it. I'm curious. So we'll see. I'll report to you, maybe, probably not anytime soon, but whenever I get back to it. Honestly, that kind of turned me off it. But I mean, the saving grace with the game is the dialogue. Because I think this is a first. I don't think it probably at least wasn't as prominent in the first disaster report. But the dialogue choices, I think you could make the dialogue choices, but they didn't have the dialogue generally, I don't think. But now you do get the full blown dialogue, and it's fucking horrible, but in the best way. It is fucking horrible. But they said something like, I'm cold. He would say something like, stop being a bitch. Don't get cold. I'm very much paraphrasing. Your mom wouldn't have you cold. You could be cold but warm with me. Something like that. I'm very much paraphrasing, but something along that line. So it's horrible, but in the best way. It's one of those so horrible it's good, it's entertaining games. Not that weird kind of mediocre. It's kind of okay, but it jumps back too much to be one way or the other, where it's, you know, not ultimately ends up being very bland, which is, at least it's not. So I don't know. The inverted camera is really bothering me, but we'll see. Also played GTA Online, The Contract, of course, over the break, at least especially Christmas Eve, played GTA Online, where, you know, it's always every year around Christmas they make the game snowy, which is very unrealistic for well, at least the game based in satirical Los Angeles, pretty much. But it's fun. Like, the game is when you drive is, you know, appropriate in terms of driving in snow at very fast speeds or whatnot. So pretty cool. You get gifts and stuff for logging in on that day. But at least I think I talked about it a bit, but GTA Online, The Contract, is basically a continuation of GTA 5 story, kind of. I guess pretty much, where it does take place after the events of GTA 5, like 8 years, 7 years later, I think. Which is, it's funny. I think that's pretty much the literally the time since Grand Theft Auto 3 came out on like 360 and PS3. About roughly a little over 7 years. So I think that they're not being too coy with it. They're being feels pretty blatant. But basically, you work with Franklin, one of the protagonists from GTA 5, and basically work with him to build his empire that you have a stake in. And part of that is helping Dr. Dre, literally Dr. Dre, not Dr. A, Dr. C, but C, Dr. Cray, but Dr. Dre, which is kind of, I mean, I guess you could, if you really that, well, that's not possible because in GTA San Andreas, you know, I mean, you could, I guess, get that, I don't know, anal about it, but I guess that kind of makes sense. You kind of have some other artists that are in the game, like Moody Man, who's like prominent in the game's music, and he's also a character in the game too, from a story and mission standpoint. So a little weird, but either way, I mean, yeah, it's Dr. Dre. I guess that's just weird. It's just of all the people you want to do with Dr. Dre, like, I don't know, Dr. Dre doesn't seem like a person that's very, I guess, outgoing. He seems to be very much more reserved and introverted. I've never really necessarily seen him act that I recall. But I don't know. It feels kind of like, kind of like I don't know, a deal where like, you know, hey man, hey, if we get you in the game, you a main character in the game in this DLC. How about you lend us some of your new tracks, and some of your old tracks, because that's another thing about this DLC, is that they added a lot of tracks to some of the existing stations. I think they may have potentially replaced some songs, but you know, they essentially got a plethora of new songs in a couple of the stations, the pre-existing stations within the game. So like Radio Los Santos has a lot of new music tracks, like 50 Cent, like In the Club and Out of Control and stuff like that. It's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. I do like the addition, new music selections in GTA Online. So trying to think. Yeah, just it definitely felt like at times like a showcase of hey, Dr. Dre new music dropping. Hey, let's hear this track. It's like, I don't know. It at times it felt a little weird. It felt a little too how do I say, hand over fist, tongue in cheek. Yeah. Yeah, it just felt a little too forced. I don't know. It's like, I think it would have been cool, you know, given the option for people that are interested in his music, but it's hard for me to identify with people who aren't fans of rap or hip hop, and, you know, kind of, I guess, kind of being forced into this, but I don't know. It's cool though. Like this is definitely the most intricate DLC I've seen, where the missions are very involved and like very much translated from GTA, like a GTA 5 mission in the single player component into multiplayer form, which is kind of weird to see considering like GTA Online's mission structure is kind of very much I don't know, it feels very online-y, not as like cinematic as something like the single player game, which I think that took me back a couple of times actually. So that's pretty cool. But then again, I've not played some of the like not as I guess advertised and like very much hyped up DLCs previously. Well, they I guess because the game is like so damn like infinite, it feels like at this point, going on for like 7-8 years with the next version. Well, yet another port of this game coming to PS5 and Xbox Series. So yeah, I do like the structure where it does seem to, I think I talked about it before, but lets you play by yourself within online, or not having to deal with the inconveniences of having to try to match up with people to play just this mission and stuff like that. So what's really cool though is a couple missions, like 3 missions where you can play in co-op as Franklin and Lamar, which is they're actually pretty worth it after you beat technically the online the contract portion of the game. After you do that, I think those are the requirements where you the excuse is that you smoked weed so good that you can't even get up. So it's like, oh, now I'm playing as Lamar and Franklin. You have to play 2 players to play them, but they're pretty dope. They're pretty fun. So you get some of that good old Lamar and Franklin banner. They are very self-referential, especially the meme that caught on with the single player, where he's talking, they having a discourse in front of Franklin's house. He like, stop being a little bitch, nigga. He just, yeah. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's definitely, I think, since the best GTA Online DLC that I've played since the heists came out. I guess the initial heist. I know there's been like all these various variants of the heist that came out too, that is like still pretty convoluted and confused to kind of get my head wrapped around, but it's a good time. I'd say definitely worth just jumping back in GTA if you haven't played it for a good while, just to kind of mess with a lot of stuff. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it. So oh. Went down, excuse me, went down the wrong pipe. It keeps going down the wrong pipe. Excuse me. So yeah. Additionally played like some of the other missions and DLCs, well, like smaller DLCs it feels like, but nothing necessarily worth worth talking about. So moving on. Next game I played over the break, Days Gone. So played a good amount of Days Gone. This is a game I dropped when it came out back in 2019. I think it was like, I don't know, just didn't grab me like I wanted to. But then since I dropped it, they did a lot of substantial updates to the game since then. And then they a while back dropped support for PS5. So now higher frame rates and I believe presumably higher resolutions, because man, playing this game on a PS5 on 4K HDR HDMI 2.1 TV is pretty damn good. It's literally one of the few games where I'm like, damn, this is what next gen is about. So game looks fucking beautiful. I have to say, at least specifically with the PS5 upgrade version. Yeah, it's it feels very Walking Dead vibes. I mean, for somebody who's played or who's watched Walking Dead, has definitely affliction, excuse me, to Daryl, aka the badass. Oh my God, Daryl! Oh my God, he's such a badass, but he's so easy. I don't, that is my impression of Walking Dead fans. I mean, as somebody who is a shameless Walking Dead fan, still with this season and all that's happened. But yeah. So Days Gone is basically like a open world zombie game. I guess that's probably maybe the closest I can describe it as, where it's pretty much free roam open world, but zombies, well, excuse me, not zombies, freakers are the enemies, these enemies that are very similar to zombies, but they're not zombies, they're freakers. So yeah, so sure. So at least I am enjoying the game though. I think it's probably good I did hold off until all these new updates came with it, because I am definitely find myself enjoying the game a lot more now. I think one of the things that wasn't in the game at first, I believe, was fast travel, which at least since playing now is definitely in. There are some compromises. You have to have enough fuel, which you do get a bike, motorcycle in the game that you traverse within the open world, but there is a resource mechanic of maintaining fuel in the gas of the motorcycle to make sure it's you can travel. If you run out, you have to scavenge for some nearby and then fill it up and then be on your way. So that's a fair compromise. You just have to make sure you have enough gas to fast travel. And then you can kind of work around it, fast travel to another point closer, but not totally at your destination, and then fast travel from that point and do it that way where again you have to have fuel and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm digging this story where you have your friend Boozer and you're dating his brother, his sister, and I guess she was in bad shape, so he decided to fight his way to get her some help to a nearby, I guess, medical facility, but he had to stay back because only two people could go, and he helped with Boozer, who's your romantic interest brother, and because he was hurt. So more or less, it's kind of the basis of the story. You're kind of from a biker gang. You were in a biker gang before this whole, mess happened, breakout of freakers. So yeah, that's at least generally my understanding of the story so far. Nothing too complicated, but I mean, it seems like the main showcase is the gameplay, which is pretty damn good. Traditional, very, very Last of Us feeling in terms of, I guess, mainly more so the aesthetic than the gameplay itself. But the gameplay actually is pretty similar to Last of Us. You can scavenge items, craft weapons like Molotovs and stuff, and healing items, and melee combat, very similar to The Last of Us, and shooting mechanics. Your guns, at least starting off, is very limited in terms of ammo and stuff. So I'm digging it though. I'm digging it. I mean, as somebody who is a sucker for zombie games in the zombie setting, I am definitely digging it. But the game is, I think it's very underrated. I've not heard, at least when it came out, a lot of praise for the game. And I think recent news actually came out about the game in terms of sales, that it actually sold like 8 million copies, at least to date. and I guess people were celebrating Ghost of Tsushima that recently hit that milestone. Like, yeah, all right, Ghost of Tsushima. But then Days Gone's over here. Hey, y'all, I mean, y'all didn't really buy our game, but y'all eventually did, and now there's 8 million copies. But I'm guessing maybe I'm thinking I don't know, unknown factor in there, or red herring, if you will, is that the game was on PlayStation Plus, and I think it is part of the PlayStation 5 welcome package, where it's basically an assortment of PS4 games you get for purchasing a PS5. That I think those two avenues, being able to access the game on top of the game being pretty damn cheap, is, I think, some pretty substantial factors to how the game became what it is, from a sales standpoint. But that is kind of messed up when you think about it, that like they treated Days Gone like the redheaded stepchild, compared to Ghost of Tsushima like the newborn that gets all the attention. I understand it, but yeah, at least from my opinion, it's definitely a very slept on game. It feels like definitely enjoying it way more than I was anticipating it, at least especially with the PS5 upgrades as well. So definitely gonna see it through. I'm guessing the game is, if you do all the side stuff, probably like 40 hours, it feels like. So I think about like 20 hours in, I want to say. So it's a good time. I do recommend it, especially now, since a lot of updates and additions to the game have come out for free. So and with that, let's get into what I've been watching, which is a lot of substantial stuff did come right as the over the break, which I forgot to put in, so I'm doing that now. Let me do it now. So, at least over this break, definitely watched a lot of Daredevil, for reasons I won't spoil. Definitely wanted me to watch Daredevil. I've definitely just been sleeping on it a lot. I watched a bit like back in 2015 and totally forgot about it. But then again, I wasn't really paying attention to it at the time. But now gave it another chance and fair shake, and really digging it. Really digging the show. I'm on season 3 so far currently. Watched the first 2 seasons over the course. They are pretty damn good, man. They are. I'm really digging a lot of aspects of the show. Charlie Cox is definitely Daredevil. I have a hard time envisioning anybody else. Let's pretend Ben Affleck didn't do that didn't do that movie that has the same name, and for some reason was also by Marvel, but we'll pretend that movie that movie didn't exist. But yeah, especially Wilson Fisk is Kingpin. Vincent D'Onofrio is definitely Kingpin. I believe it. I'm now a believer of Kingpin now. What else? Love. John Bernthal as the Punisher. He makes a very substantial appearance in throughout season 2. Pretty much season 2 is his origin story. Before The Punisher, his own series on Netflix. I watched The Punisher before watching this. But yeah, it was very cool to see him like way more like unhinged than his Netflix series. I think I really actually like him way better in season 2 of Daredevil than his own series, to be honest. At least reflecting on his Netflix series compared to season 2 of Daredevil. But the build up of him, they didn't show him at all for like what felt like a good couple episodes. They just were very vague about him. It's like I think it was this whole army that killed these guys, this whole gang. Like no, it wasn't. It apparently was a single man. They call him the Punisher. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. And man, he is just fucking lethal in this in season 2. So it's a really very interesting dynamic. It's definitely probably my favorite season of Daredevil so far, which I guess maybe is kind of something to detract from the series. But I mean, I really love the dynamic between Frank Castle and Matthew Murdock, aka Punisher, versus Daredevil. There's the very interesting dynamic, and then it comes to a point in the show where Matthew Murdock has to work for Frank Castle in terms of getting being his lawyer, and that was a whole interesting dynamic. Then they also bring in Elektra into the mix, and kind of that whole dynamic in conjunction with this Punisher storyline. It was pretty good. I really enjoyed it, and it was pretty fulfilling to see what technically, at least as far as we know so far now, the origin story of the Punisher. The Punisher. Gotta do it like that. You gotta put some respect on his name. You might pop in my room now, kill me. I'm for saying just saying his name. So yeah, really enjoying it. I'm pretty fresh on season 3, so I can't really, I don't know, necessarily formulate an opinion so far. I don't know. It's given me some slight Iron Man 3 vibes, specifically where I'm so weak. I can't deal with this anymore. Kind of that dynamic of I'm Daredevil, but I'm just not who I am anymore. I just, my senses aren't as strong anymore. I'm just doubting myself now after all that's happened. I just don't know if I could do it anymore. It's like, I mean, you've been through 2 seasons of this, and been through so much hell. I mean, I guess I can see that, but I don't know. We'll see when the rest of the season pans out. But yeah, at least so far, definitely really enjoying season 3 the most. I'm really thoroughly enjoyed that season, that whole dynamic with the Punisher. It was some good TV. It was some damn good TV. It really was. Then also watched let's see. Oh my god. Am I going in Japanese? Had to have a Japanese keyboard. Okay. Matrix Resurrections. Let me hold on. My keyboard is messing up right now. Put that in there. it over there. That didn't work, but that's okay. It's all right. You tried. Okay. Yeah, Matrix Resurrections. Where do I start? I think that just that alone gives you an idea, but a little bit of background. Huge fan of the Matrix. Matrix 1 is probably my favorite movie of all time, the original Matrix. 2 and 3 were, not as good, but I mean, the bar was very high for those. And I think the original Matrix was, generally conceived as a one-off type thing, but considering the reception afterward, they're like, we gotta continue it. So, all that said, comes Matrix Resurrections. I guess spoilers for Matrix Resurrections first and foremost. I'll try not to be too much spoilery, but it's some stuff that needs to be talked about. So, the plot for this movie is that you are. So Neo is now a developer for a game called, who would have guessed, The Matrix. And technically, the Matrix trilogy is acknowledged within this movie. It's like how do I even explain it? The whole trilogy is established and acknowledged within this movie in a lot of ways, I guess. Mainly the first one, but they do touch on like Reloaded and Revelations, I think. So basically, that's one of the problems with this movie. I feel that I wasn't personally a fan of, is that the game. I want to say game. The movie refers too much to itself. And by itself, I mean refers too much to the first movie in a lot of ways, to its detriment. I feel like that it's just too meta. It's too meta for me. It's like too on the nose, too meta. It's like they're just really, it felt like they're really somewhat trying to be too far in the past and not in the present, if that makes sense. It just felt like this movie relied too much on its own movie to be anything substantially, I guess, I don't know, credible, new. I don't know. It just felt like it was stuck in the past, kind of, in a way. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but so that's one factor of it, at least in terms of the plot, which I don't think it's necessarily worth spoiling too much of the plot. But another thing for me that was like kind of a miss was like the lack of choreography. It felt like the choreography was very weak, in my opinion. That like, it just wasn't hitting, man. Especially, obviously when you are competing with your previous movies, it just was not hitting, in my opinion. That was always one hallmark for at least the trilogy, in my opinion, is that like, if the plot wasn't strong, at least you had some very solid fight choreography for the most part. But at least with the fourth movie, it just felt fairly weak for the most part. I mean, you had a couple standout moments, like a fight between Morpheus. Oh, I forgot about Morpheus. So they did this whole thing with Morpheus where I think he's technically still dead. He was like killed in one of the Matrix Online game that was out, around the hype of the Matrix. And technically he's recreated as a program in the Matrix that was created by Neo. Um, but he's a different form now. So now he's portrayed by Yahya, um, Yahin Abdul the second, I believe, the fourth or second. So he of anybody to portray Morpheus, I mean, he definitely was a solid choice, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not really too big on. It's technically not recasting in terms of how they wrote him, but it still feels like he's recast, if that makes sense. You have this, I don't know, basis to in reference point to kind of be, if that makes sense, from like, his whole, I guess, tenure throughout the Matrix trilogy. But but of that, he was pretty decent. I don't know. I just have feel some type of way about his portrayal. And then on top of that, you have Agent Smith, who is also technically recasted, but he's been handsomeified, and that's their excuse, kind of within the plot within this movie. I don't know. I think they were better off just, I don't know, making new protagonists and antagonists and for these characters. And yeah, I think that's just really my main gripe with it. And then on top of that, they're literally playing playing like a good solid, what felt like at least 20 minutes of the original movie, through certain spurts throughout the movie, to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, I totally understand that. You didn't have to show me that 5-second clip, but all right. So you get a lot of that. Yeah, it just was not working for me personally. Don't get me wrong, it's if you are a fan of the Matrix, you can definitely get a kick out of it, but having watched it twice, I at least the first time I was somewhat conflicted after seeing it, because it was some interesting parts, but then there was like a lot of very mediocre parts that at least at the time, it was just I was giving it the benefit of the doubt, but then after everything was all said and done, the credits rolled, and I'm like, I don't think I like that as a whole. I don't think I like that. And watching it again with some friends over the holidays and watching it again, it did further solidify my thoughts about it, that like, yeah, it just was not a compared to the other movies, especially, not really great in my opinion. So it definitely is ranked the worst of the Halo now quadrilogy, maybe potentially a whole another set trilogy, presumably, potentially, I don't know, but I don't know. I mean, I do know, but I do know, but I don't want to know now anymore. That's kind of my sentiments. I wanted this movie to be really good, to like really like, oh my god, this might be better than the original Matrix. But I mean, I think that's a unnecessarily high bar to put on this movie in general, considering how like groundbreaking the original Matrix was. So it's still disappointing, but I mean, I Keanu Reeves is awesome. Love him as a person, as an actor as well. But it just, specifically the choreography, he was literally doing the same force move literally like 5 times throughout the movie. It's like, could you do something else? I mean, could you like at least fly once? Well, technically he flies, but not in the way that you would expect. Yeah, it just didn't hit like I wanted it to. I was very, very, very much excited, hyped for this movie, and did not really hit, man. Did not hit. I did like some of the self-referential stuff, like what gave me a kick, as you know, of course, a fan of Max Payne and like the whole era, the Matrix set, like within video games specifically, after it dropped, where literally all these games were coming out utilizing bullet time. That was at least the term that like was solidified to my knowledge in Max Payne. I don't think they ever referred to it as bullet time in the Matrix until this movie, where they like literally referred to slowing down time. Oh, that's bullet time. I was like, oh crap, it's crazy. They are referring to something they originated that was technically claimed by another IP that was utilizing their idea in video game form. For just a very nerdy reason, I got a kick out of that. But yeah, it was some interesting, moments, but as a whole, it just did not hit for me, man. It really didn't. Really did not. So apparently the Wachowski brothers, which are now the Wachowski sisters, I think only Lena Wachowski, so one of the sisters, directed this. I think the movie would have definitely benefited from the other Wachowski sister to, I don't know. I feel like it was lacking what the other Wachowski could have, brought, if she decided to direct. But it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate, but who knows? I mean, I'd be lying if I said I don't want another Matrix. I mean, now at this point, I feel like I would want them to redeem themselves after Resurrections. So at least we have that kind of a reference point now, that at least also the director would be kind of aware of or cognizant of, to going into another Matrix movie. So it hurts, man. As a fan, it hurts, but it's pretty much how I felt. Moving on. Also watched the Book of Boba Fett. That premiered technically last week. So basically, this technically takes place where the Mandalorian left off, and what was, I guess, technically teased after the Mandalorian, really. Where you're literally Boba Fett trying to take the throne of former, I think it was Bail Fortuna, that they throughout events got usurped, for lack of a better term. And now Boba Fett is trying to establish himself as a rightful owner of the throne. But of course, it wouldn't be that simple. So, a couple of events take place. I won't spoil them, but at least from the 2 episodes so far, definitely some interesting stuff. We definitely got a big question answered that I don't think I'll spoil. I'll leave for you to watch. But yeah, it definitely some questions answered that wasn't answered in The Mandalorian, in terms of like how Boba Fett came to be Boba Fett after set events from the Empire's always get them mixed up. Okay. New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith. Or is it Revenge of the Sith, Empire Strikes Back? That's going to kill me, so. Let me look it up. Because it's going to kill me. It's going to kill me. Star Wars. They call it Star Wars, but I'm pretty sure it's in the New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. What am I thinking of? I thought one of them was called A New Hope. I think that's the first Star Wars, technically. So what's Revenge of the Sith? Oh, maybe I'm thinking of the prequels. I think that might be the prequels. Wait. Let me check. Star Wars prequels. Okay, yeah, that was the third one of the prequels. So prequels, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith. Okay. Wow. I am not a worthy Star Wars fan, clearly. You should know that. Oh my. Yeah, so I think Star Wars, which I think is the general subtitle, I think after the fact, presumably A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Okay. So I think I forgot which one it was where Boba Fett meets his at least presumed demise, but little do we know after the fact. It was not so apparent. So yeah, at least with Book of Boba Fett, you definitely get more insight on Boba Fett and what he did, I guess, in between the Star Wars trilogy and the Mandalorian. It essentially, at least so far, seems to be, clearing that space between the two. So I think for fans of Star Wars, I think it's definitely worth a watch. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I definitely, I at least watched the new trilogy as well as I've technically watched them all, but I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan, but I do, at least as I am now, watched the new content on Disney Plus. So, yeah. Is there anything else? Oh yeah. One thing that is a pretty big gripe is man. Yeah, I'm personally not a fan of the Boba Fett taking his helmet off like every chance he gets. It feels like other people were talking about this on Twitter, but to me it felt like Boba Fett took his helmet off within the span of 2 episodes, more than the Mandalorian ever has in in the 2 seasons. It feels like it's like okay, we get it. Like, can you just be more cool and ominous, please? Like, that's at least kind of my gripe. But I mean, I get it. We've technically seen him, and I don't know. They want to really hit that home, I guess. I mean, he's technically not a bounty hunter anymore. So I mean, I guess I could see it from that extent, but I don't know. I think that kind of is what makes Boba Fett. Just him being very ominous and mysterious, at least obviously specifically in the original trilogy, that he was kind of like that, but now it's just the secret's out. It's kind of like if Master Chief, which fingers crossed, I hope they don't do that in that new Paramount Plus episodic series, that new Halo series coming on Paramount Plus, that is literally like if Master Chief took his helmet off and it's like, okay, all right, you revealed, okay, just put it back on, all right, and then just all right, let me take my helmet off to talk. Yeah, so about the Covenant, it's like, come on, man, just I mean, you just put it back on, just look cool, just look, I just want you to look cool. That's very vain now I'm thinking about it. But I mean, what? It's been like, it's technically like 24 years we've seen. That's the character we knew as Boba Fett. And then now, recently, I guess technically from the prequels, sure, because he's a clone, you can piece that together. But I mean, still, it doesn't necessarily, I don't know. It's a minor gripe, admittedly, but still, it is a gripe, I have to say. So, yeah, that was Book of Boba Fett so far. Then, of course, whew, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Kobra Kai, Season 4. For those that don't know, Kobra Kai basically is a spinoff of the Karate Kid trilogy. So I guess I don't really even feel, I guess it technically is, but it's like, it's hard for me to feel comfortable calling it a spinoff because it really feels more like a continuation of the Karate Kid trilogy in my head. Because there's so many characters from the original trilogy that are coming back and being redeemed or being further explored, in terms of their character arcs, having a resurgence in their character arcs, what have you, within this series on Netflix now. It started out on YouTube Premium or Red, and then I'm assuming, obviously Netflix got the rights to it and have now been carrying the series since, I guess, season 3. So, yeah, it's very much in spirit with the original Karate Kid movies. I guess depending on who you ask, to a fault, but as somebody, I mean, I guess I technically don't remember a whole lot from the Karate Kid trilogy, but of course the iconic moments like the kick, the crane kick, and the, being injured, Caruso being injured and all that stuff. But yeah, but man, it is something shamefully fulfilling, watching some well, at least in the context of the show, kids, in movies, kids are like, in high school and they're like 25 and up, at least it feels like. I think there are a lot of the cast is under 25, with the obvious exceptions, but yeah, at least nothing more fulfilling than some kids beating each other up. It definitely gives me some big Three Ninjas vibes, where it's like a pretty good blend of corny, cheesy, endearing, just cool. I think it does strike that unique balance. Yeah, that's probably the best way to describe it. I don't know if it's for everybody, but at least personally, I've definitely been getting a kick out of it. Oh, I'm sorry. No pun intended. But I mean, if it applies, let it fly. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's pretty great. So at least the synopsis for season 4, I guess minor spoilers for Cobra Kai, but basically from coming from season 3, I forgot his name. Damn it. Fuck. Is it Caruso? Let me get my names right, because that is kind of important. What is his name? Johnny Lawrence. Johnny Lawrence's mentor, or I guess mentor in the original trilogy. He technically took over Kobra Kai in some like loophole way where now he owns Kobra Kai, and now Johnny Lawrence had to make his own dojo in season 3, where it was like a very ghetto a very ghetto dojo where it was like he had to do it in like a public park. He didn't technically have any official place to host a dojo, but then he eventually got with Caruso, who's doing his own dojo, and then they decided to cooperate towards the end of season 3. So it's some funny antics that come through in season 4, where they are trying to bounce off each other, understand each other better, and realize that, man, we can learn stuff from each other, and there's a lot of that. Then of course the corniness and corny and cheesiness of it, that at least for me it's still endearing and entertaining, and it's some genuine comedy too. So yeah, man. And then how it ends is they definitely set themselves up for another season, of course. They introduced some new characters that definitely are, you could see develop in the new season, that are going to be maybe a focus in the next season and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely liked it overall. I really thoroughly enjoyed season 4 of Cobra Kai, as somebody who is a sucker for cheesy 80s referenced karate movies. This is definitely up my alley personally. So yeah, I say if that does sound appealing to you, you more than likely will enjoy this if you've not jumped in yet. But you can totally binge the whole series on Netflix right now, season 1 through 4. Cobra Kai. It's pretty good, man. I have to say. I really, really have to say. And with that, I think that will conclude. Will it conclude? Will it? Yeah. I think that will conclude episode 135. It's hard to keep track now of Switch's sites. If you did enjoy the podcast, feel free to like, rate, and subscribe on your various podcasting platforms. We on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, any other one that you can think of. If it's not on there, let me know. I can definitely put it on there. Work my magics. Put these fingies to work. I said fingies. I'm gonna stick with it. But yeah, until next time, get your damn game on. Happy New Year. Oh yeah. Nobody's safe.